So can we start now?
Yes, you should. One second. Yeah. Am I audible? And I
Yes.
have started the recording. So Amit and Sai, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Ritu. So, dear friends, good afternoon to all of you. Today we are talking to Sairam uh, from PRM 25. Myself, Kumar Amit. I'm also from PRM 25, same batch. So, Sairam's journey truly captures the spirit of IRMA. You come here to learn about rural India, but you often end up discovering something far more personal. So let us welcome a dear friend and inspiring Irman and someone who proves that the best journeys are the ones that change you. Mr. Sairam Subramanian. For our batch, he is Professor Sai or simply Sai. You know, when we first met Sairam Subramaniam at IRMA, the entire batch honestly thought he had taken a wrong stopover somewhere between South Campus Delhi and corporate offices in Mumbai. Here was this Delhi bred Motilal Nehru College graduate, fluent in English, strumming the guitar like a pro. Sai, we remember your rendition of Tuta Tuta Ek Parinda in the mess on the blackout night, forced by some of our dear seniors from PRM 24 in the middle of our first term examinations. Initially, you also enjoyed quite a bit of curiosity among ladies of PRM 24 and 25 in august company of Sir Gaurav Lumba and Revered Rahul Kasinadhuni. Obviously, a pain for people from other lesser known cities who just tried to keep up. You are not exactly the kind of person one expected to find in a rural management program, right?
So true, Amit. And first of all, let me thank everyone for this opportunity, especially IRMA Alumni Association. Other friends who've joined, Prashant, Gopal, Deepak. I also see Akshata, with whom I worked at some point in time, and all others who've joined this discussion. Uh, I have, I mean, it comes from my belief over the last few years, Amit, that man proposes, God disposes. Uh, in my college, I was a big fan, bhakt of Ayn Rand, a true believer in the power of capitalism, objectivism. And somewhere in that journey, at that point in time, one of my friends handed me over the book of Alec Padamsee, Double Life. It had a very profound impact. And I actually wanted to make a career into advertising. Uh, and Irma, of course, doesn't appear as the first name, especially in the field of advertising. And uh, one of the routes which I thought would be the right one was to go through the typical MBA route. I applied to the top 10 colleges, Irma being amongst them at that point in time. And when I took the journey, train journey to Irma for the first time, there are only two things which I knew about it. One was Amul and the other was Dr. Kurian. But when I landed at Anand Station and then I kind of landed at the Irma gate, and the when you get in with the landscape, the trees and the peace and the calm, something inside me said, okay, this could be the place. Of course, the journey was getting into Irma itself had its own stories, and then crossing the 2 year path with a lot of batchmates and friends. We can discuss that. But yes, it is a journey which I now believe that I was destined for.
Yeah. Oh, so true. So, Sai, here is the often repeated questions. We have answered it many times at IRMA during our time. But when we answered in those days, it was 20 years back. We had no clue altogether, like why IRMA. So the question is why IRMA? Hope you would have been able to find the answers now. Did you have any regret about your choice then? And if yes, how did you utilize that situation for your benefit?
Today, if you ask me, absolutely no regrets. In fact, I would say that 70 to 80% of my professional career, its achievements, whatever little reputation, it is all has to do with my opportunity to study at IRMA and then engage with the larger community. So absolutely no. And in fact, you rightly said, some of my friends, Suyash, Prashant, and few others actually used to call me corporate. So me and others included, we were pretty sure that my career destiny was to get into and remain and, climb the typical corporate ladder. And of course, somewhere midway, things changed. I changed tracks twice, thrice to explore my potential, different possibilities. But absolutely a wonderful experience, and it was a blessing which came in disguise.
Yeah. So now continuing with the introduction. So before Irma, you worked in BPO sector and had interest in advertising, as you have already mentioned. And you were very clear that post Irma, you would be heading straight back to the corporate world. And you did join ICICI Bank from the campus, then a stint with HSBC, Yes Bank, and Deutsche Bank. Sairam, you actually said, I'm here to study management, not to milk cows, did you? But as often happens at IRMA, something changed along the way. Maybe it was the field work, maybe the late night chai in the mess lawns, or maybe just the magic of the place. The corporate dream slowly gave way to a deeper purpose, and you slowly took a different path altogether and chose the path, I would not say less traveled, often traveled by IRMANs. So, going to the next question, you came in with a clear plan to go back to the corporate world. What really changed for you during those 2 years and during your banking stint, maybe, that made you take the path of development instead?
So actually, to be very honest with you, the 2 years period at that point in time, at least the initial part was very painful, right? Here I was wanted to make a career in advertising, IRMAn, fan, and all that. And for my field work, landing up in a remote village, tribal village with Rohit, in a project supported by Pradhan. Both Rohit and I, young adults, sharing a space in a single charpai, walking 3 kilometers for a cup of tea. So it was very painful. And I think that added to the determination of getting into the corporate sector at any cost, right?
Right.
But the 2 year period, I think, changed a lot. Before IRMA, I never heard terms like distributive justice,
Yeah.
inclusion. I was a commerce student, a debit credit guy, right? No
True.
idea about all these things, right? But then we did an OTS project, then did an MTS project, and we had some fantastic professors who left a lot of impression, a lot of classmates who were very clear and who pursued that journey also.
Yeah.
And then when I got into banking, my initial stint with ICICI, Dr. Nachiket Moore was heading the RMAG vertical at that time. I think he actually also triggered a lot of insight into how the typical corporate finance can be put to use for development.
Yeah.
But then I moved on to HSBC and then figured out the corporate finance world is very different. The dynamics of power, trust, and things work in very, very different ways. And then gradually opportunities came which helped me transit back to the development sector.
Yeah. Yeah. So, moving forward, so after your banking stint, you transitioned into academia, then development sector and consulting. And then you took your learning global by pursuing a master's in international development from King's College, London, on a Chevening scholarship. Today, you are a development consultant, a storyteller, and the author of two books, Two Faced, Three Knives, and Fighters Fight. So, I'll come to my next question. After IRMA, mid career, you went to pursue your master's in international development from King's College, London, and that too on the prestigious Chevening scholarship, which is quite an achievement. Many young Irmans today aspire to study abroad and explore global perspectives in development. Could you share what motivated you to take that step? How you prepared for such a competitive scholarship? What kind of challenges you faced, and what key lessons or perspectives from that experience you think would benefit those planning a similar path?
Sure. I think that's a very useful question from many point of view. One is that I actually went for my second master's when I was 39, right? So I
Yeah,
was doing masters when my people in my cohort were 28 to 30. So from an age profile, I was very, very different. So that clearly was something which I had to adjust to, right? But in terms of motivational triggers, I was before IRMA, I was actually an average student all through, right? But when I met professors in IRMA, especially I think two or three professors, they had very significant influence on me. One was Professor Rajesh Nair, Professor Raju, Krishnamurthy. Some of these people actually gave me the joy of learning. So even though I got out of IRMA, I continued to do courses. I attempted CFA and then so different courses I continued with. And then when I actually reached my mid-career stage, started working with an organization called TechnoServe. And I got exposure to work with some of the international donors. What I understood was the conversation in development was very different from what we had at IRMA, right? The issues of climate change and all really were not, the most talked about things in
Yeah.
way back in 2004 to 2006. And
Right.
I really felt that I was out of my depth on a lot of these issues. So I thought, why not upskill? And here again, people from IRMA community came to help. My references came from IRMA professors and my IRMA seniors who I had a chance to work with. So all that kind of helped, pursue this path. In terms of challenges, other than age, I think my daughter was 7 at that time. So leaving her and going out for 1 year was difficult. Balancing the finance side of it was also quite a challenge because the international education system is very different from India. So what I would tell people who want to say take that path is prepare early and think early. Uh, and today, I think there are way more scholarships and opportunities available than before. Whatever might be the geopolitics scene today, I'm sure it will again change in the next few years. But think early about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So coming to the next question, you have also dabbled in teaching both full time and as guest faculty over the years. How did that happen? What is your advice to those who are working full time but exploring to get into academia?
Again, coming back to the professors, I mean, when I saw them teaching, and some of them are like very dynamic characters, right? So I thought, and they had a very profound impact on me. So I thought I might also want to have uh, that kind of an impact on an individual's life. So my teaching journey actually started when I was at HSBC. So I started as a guest faculty at ICFI Business School, Bombay. And then when I completed my CFA level 2, I was invited by the CFA Coaching Institute to basically teach the participants. So it started way early. And then when I went back to the development sector, a very interesting opportunity came. Uh, Wellinger Institute was setting up their rural management program. And the opportunity was to basically not only build the program from the scratch, but also teach the students. So the journey started there and it was very, very enriching. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving forward, somewhere in this beautiful journey, you also found your life partner right here at IRMA,
Yeah.
our very own batchmate Sweta, who continues to share and support your passion for development. So you and Sweta share a pretty special story. Batchmates at IRMA, both MBAs, both professionals in your own right. Now that is quite a powerhouse pair. So tell us, how has having Sweta by your side influenced your professional choices, especially when you have taken some bold turns in your career? And does it help having a partner who understands not just you, but also the world you work in?
Definitely. And I think, again, I would say I was a bit lucky to get Shweta as a life partner. If you remember, we were a batch of 88 with 8 girls. So
Yeah,
I think the competition was there. Uh, of course, things changed when the junior batch came and all that. I will not get into that. But I think it definitely helped a lot. And I think the times then and the times today are very, very different, right? Because we shared the same journey. We knew each other for 2 years. So, one was pretty what do you say? One knew in advance what one was getting into, right? And what one might have to put up to. right? So in that sense, it continues to help, whether it's me backing her up or she backing my decisions. It definitely helped that she's an IRMAn. She understands the sector, so she knows the tough choices that it will not be the same money that comes from being in a corporate sector, or if you want to move into storytelling and writing, it's a fairly long and arduous journey. It's not quick success, quick wins. So all that definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. And any suggestions for young Yermans on finding or selecting their life partners?
I mean, as I said, the world is different. Today, you find your life partner through apps. And one of the downsides to finding a life partner through apps is you are basically projecting the best side of yourself, right? So even when you get into a relationship, you have not really disclosed yourself that well, right? So the only advice is to basically be as honest and transparent from the very beginning. So both people know what they are getting into early on, right? And
Right.
that I think helps.
True. Very true. So the next question is, this was the end of the introduction part. Now we would like to hear from horse's mouth. How do you identify yourself? Like, tell us, this was the introduction which I prepared from some inputs from some of our batchmates. So we would like to know from yourself, who is Sairam? How do you identify yourself? A banker or a development consultant or a storyteller?
Yeah, so I think this also has changed over the years. Initially, when I moved from IRMA to banking, I definitely wanted to be viewed as a banker, a corporate banker, or a treasury guy or a transaction banking guy. These were fancy tags which gave you some kind of a status, right? Uh, and of course, most of these tags are useful for LinkedIn or Instagram. But personally, if you ask me, I think these tags have lost their, what do you say, or reduced their usefulness. Today, if you ask me, I mean, I see myself more as a continuous learner. So that is something which really excites me, an opportunity to learn new skills, new domains, and also like a creator. I think one of the things which I've realized over the last few years, especially the post, second masters coming back and changing profession to a more consulting plus writing, I think creating is a very, very fulfilling thing. And if I had known this in advance, probably I would have started writing when I was a banker. So that definitely helps.
Okay, great. So we have some photographs from our campus and your early career days. Let us see those, and we'll
Sure,
have.
sure. Yeah.
So Ritu, can you put on those photographs, please?
Yes, just let me know once the screen is visible.
Yeah, yeah, screen is visible.
Should I make it full screen?
Yeah. So this is for some photographs from our IRMA days and onwards. In first photograph, you are with Swetambra, and this is
Mm,
after our placement, I think, the second photograph, if
yeah.
I'm going clockwise. So the fourth one is one second, third, fourth one, the middle one, when it was taken.
I mean, it looks like the regular chai session
Okay.
outside the mess lawn. You're referring to the one on the left or the middle?
Yeah, middle one.
I think it looks like the mess lawn chai session photo.
Right. And there is an interesting photograph. Would you like to comment on that? It is from our Jatra days, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this is the infamous photograph. I think so. What used to happen for others who who've, who've not known PRM 25 C blocks, strategy at Jatra. So our strategy at Jatra was to lose, and to lose, when I say lose, basically come at the bottommost um rank. So all our efforts were to basically do something or the other, some mischief or the other to basically achieve that objective. So we were competing from the last, you can say. So this is where AB Block ladies had put up like a very beautiful banner, done a lot of work, and really shown their creative skills. But C blockers being C blockers, they did some mischief, and they, as you can see, they are putting their clothes to dry. I will not go beyond that,
Yeah.
which was kind of spoiling the aesthetics of the AB Block's work.
And I think G Block was the partner in crime.
Yeah, yeah. G and C used to compete to who will come at the lowest in Jatra. Yeah.
Right, right. So, yeah, so I was coming to the next question. Can we have this next slide, maybe, Ritu? Yeah, so here are some other photographs from your banking days, maybe.
Yeah, Mumbai.
Mumbai. Sandeep Katiyar is there. I'm there in the first photograph, and
Mhm.
your other colleagues and batchmates, maybe. Yeah.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
So the next question is: any interesting memories from the process of getting into IRMA and then facing the pressure cooker environment?
Yeah, yeah, some very interesting ones. And this is why I keep saying that there was some element of destiny in my getting into IRMA. One was that, before the interviews, you were given a flat to stay with a few other people. So the flat I got, there were two people who were with me. One guy was a master's in agriculture, and he was already working with an agri input company. The other guy was actually the son of a CEO of a FMCG company, which he kind of boldly advertised. And
Right,
here I was, who wanted to actually do advertising, and a fan ran. So when they gave this questionnaire about why IRMA, and uh, there was a set of questions you were supposed to answer, I actually took help from these two folks on what the sector is, what are the opportunities, so that I can really prepare some kind of a solid argument, and I don't appear in front of the panel clueless.
right,
So incidentally, what happened is I was the only guy who could get through, and both the other two couldn't convert. So that's where destiny played a role, and the other thing was the difficult interview process. In my panel, I had Professor Rajesh Nair, Raju, and Professor S.K. Mitra, Professor Raju and S.K. Mitra. Uh, Professor Nair actually was looking at me through the entire interview process, as if you see all those English crime movies where you have a serial killer who is sitting, and there is some psychologist who is evaluating.
yeah,
So during the entire interview, he didn't utter a word. But towards the end, when everybody was finished, so he very condescendingly asked me, "Oh, you are from a call center, right? And you're appearing for an interview. As if, what are you doing here?" But
mhm,
then somewhere I retorted, "No, it was not a call center, it's a contact center." And we actually ended up having a 10-minute discussion on the difference. But then I think over the years, Professor Nair was a champion of my efforts at various fronts,
yeah.
uh, be it my writing, be it my journey. So, yeah, so those two I think very memorable.
Okay, great. So you have developed some framework sort of thing, I think. So which is there in the next slide. So
Yeah, it's not my framework. Basically, Ritu, if you can put it up.
yeah.
So,
So would you
yeah,
like to
so
throw some light on this?
sure, sure. So, I was just thinking, because we are talking about connecting the dots, and being MBA students, a framework is something which has been like, we have been vaccinated with. So, this is a framework which is used actually even by the Harvard Business School uh, career support team, which prepares students for the mindset they need to have while they kind of segue through the key turning points in their career. If you can see, I think there are four core motivations, and I can really, really resonate my journey with this. Who am I becoming? And this also has been a constant companion, whether I just want to end up being a banker, or do I want to impact more lives by teaching, or by directly doing grassroots work or taking stories to many people, right? Where do I belong?
Mm-hmm.
Again, what is my community, right? Whether my community is the banking community, is it the IRMA community, or is it the people I grew up with? Is it, the professional world? Whether now I think even LinkedIn and Instagram are communities. So who is my community? What change is coming? And how do I basically shift my career trajectory looking at the community I want to be part of? What
Right.
sustains me? This is basically the bread and butter question. What sustains me and how I can sustain myself, and then what calls me forward. So the key transition points, the turning points actually come with this question, what calls me forward. And as you can see, some of the key turning points I've mapped. Being a banker and storyteller is more about identity. IRMAn, being an artist, is
Right.
more of a concept of belonging. Then, your investment assets and things like that, that is more part of necessity. And then becoming a seeker, learner, creator is more about what is calling me forward. I think this is something which you can actually map also forward. I didn't have that this framework in the beginning of my career, but this is one way where you could find where you are right now or where you want to be. This could be probably useful for the new Irmans.
Okay, great. So, Ritu, you can take down the slides now. Yeah. So, Sai, coming to the next question, during IRMA and even after that, most of us had one or two favorite professors. You have already mentioned about Professor Nair. We connected with many professors because they were in our interview panels or they were our faculty guides or field work guides. At IRMA, could you find any mentors or classmates that left a lasting imprint on your thinking, professional choices?
Yeah, so I mean, what I can say is, I mean, of course, thinking professors I've already mentioned. I think almost most of them had like a very serious influence, and with some of them I've continued to connect for many years. With some of them I've unfortunately lost touch because of my own slack. In terms of seniors, I think couple of them, Raghav PRM 23, he actually helped me through the Chevening journey. Hitesh, he was my mentor early days in ICICI. Then he himself became a publisher. So he's been a champion of my writing.
Hitesh
And
Jan.
Hitesh Jain, PRM 23, Raghavendra Singh, also PRM 23. And there are many other seniors while through the placement process and while changing jobs and things like that. My entry into TechnoServe, again, an IRMAN. So many IRMANs have touched my life at different points in time. Batchmates, many. I mean, you being the one and Prashant, both of you uh, have actually, what do you say, toiled to read my early manuscripts, give very diligent comments on my writing, even otherwise stood by me, doing my during my various pivot points in my journey, and people who continue to inspire through their work and transitions. Regu, I remember, he was struggling early on in his work with an NGO, really doing excellent grassroots work. Even Anshuman, now very successful civil servants and finance professionals, the Finhart guys, Verma his journey in Kosi, very good guy from the heart, wanting to make change. So many people at different points in time, and in fact, all batchmates. Rahul, he set up Sagraha and really sold it as a very successful venture. So many, right? My wife Shweta, her journey has also been like um, very inspiring, from research to banking to startup to now data. So I think PRM 25 used to call it as the silver jubilee batch, and a
Right.
lot of our professors also used to promote it as like something special. I think there is definitely something special in this batch, and everybody continues to inspire. I've taken very few names. Divya, a Fulbright scholar, Pragna, again, a scholar, later went to Wharton and all that. So, yeah.
So, how do you suggest young Irmans to develop such kind of network with the alumni and seniors and among their batchmates also?
So I think the reputation matters a lot. One has to really strive to maintain the reputation and networks by being in touch. People see, one thing is what you are on the outside. I mean, what you tell the world, ki, bhai, this is what I'm doing and all that. But people know what you are inside if you spend time with them, especially when you're interacting with seniors and all, how genuine you are, what respect you give. I mean, a lot of seniors today tell me, don't call me sir and all that. But we are from the older batches, so we have that inherent DNA of calling every senior as sir and all that, right? So I think these things do matter. Your reputation, your ability to nurture and keep some of those relationships, all those are, I think, very, very important.
Okay, great. So I hope some of our young Germans will take note of that and will build such kind of network among like from seniors, among seniors, batchmates, and peers. So now coming again back to your experience, how did institutions like HSBC, ICICI, or Deutsche Bank, and later GIZ, TechnoServe, and Palladium shape your understanding of financial system versus social impact systems?
Okay, so that's a very interesting and nuanced question, and I think I can definitely share some uh, insights from my experience. So, I had the privilege that on one side, I was dealing with microfinance clients at ICICI, people who have very limited bargaining power. And then you move to HSBC and you have clients like Nike, HUL, Maersk, right? People who can really call the shots with any banks, right? Who choose which banks they want to. So the financial system has an inherent, what do you say, preference of who they want to deal with comfortably, right? So when you learn finance in an MBA school, you think it is the balance sheets, P&Ls, and all these things. These are very like impartial, but it is not just about the balance sheets and PILs, right? There is a lot of information asymmetry, which one of our professors used to teach us in CAC course. That information asymmetry actually really influences the power, the network, and the trust that institutions enjoy. And it is, giving this power, trust, and networks to the organizations which do not have them. That is what the organizations in the development sector do. So be it is a bilateral like GIZ or an NGO who is working on the ground or a development financial institution, they are basically trying to address that gap. And just because somebody is doing well on a balance sheet, if it's even if it's say today farmer cooperatives are really in vogue and being promoted, just by having a balance sheet and P&L doesn't necessarily mean that they will get the growth capital or finance that will help them scale up. There are a lot of things beyond that, and I would like to cluster them in the power, say, trust and the network buckets.
Right. So, next question is, how did you navigate the uncertainty of moving from a stable corporate career, like you were working with banks, and then you move to development sector? So, how did you navigate the uncertainty of career?
So again, here, I mean, if you ask this question today, I think the corporate sector is as uncertain as the development sector, right? But in those times, I think I had the benefit, or what do you say, patronage of, say, IRMA community, because when I transitioned from banking to GIZ, it was actually an IRMA senior who kind of brought me in with some assurance of continuity for around a couple of years, right? And that helped me look at other opportunities like consulting on the side or teaching in parallel. So that helped me navigate that uncertainty. But other than that, I would say my lifestyle is also a factor.
Mm-hmm.
So my lifestyle is also very frugal, very stoic kind. I got my first car in my 40s, and I am always invest first, save first, and spend later kind of a guy. So
Mm-hmm.
making some of these difficult choices was also easier because of my lifestyle.
Okay. And I have read both your books. and some of your short stories too. And what really stands out is how deeply researched they are. In your last book, Fighters Fight, you have written in depth about cryptocurrencies. So, tell us, how do you go about your research before writing, and what advice would you give to young and old Irmans who want to be writers or to blend solid research with creative storytelling?
Oh, thanks. That's a very useful question, especially for budding writers, because initially when I started, I thought, it is just about the story. But it is not about the story. It is actually about the research. The story is incidental. Because what really happens is, if you want the reader to connect with your story, it has to be well researched. Otherwise, people will think it is fake. So that's one. But why you see a lot of research in my books is because it started from the vantage point of research. So what happened is, when I was in UK and I was reading a lot of papers from professors on sustainability, on financial governance, I thought, I mean, these academics are actually on the borderline of investigative journalism. So, they are writing about how buyback of shares is basically not solid corporate governance and it's corporate crime because it is harming the minority shareholders' interest, or how sustainability crimes are being committed by companies who are basically saying we are ESG ready and all that. And when I read all that, I thought some of these research or stories
Yeah,
can reach common people if you write it in the form of novels. And
true.
that's actually where the journey started. So,
Mhm.
taking some of these intellectual ideas, deep research, which currently are the privilege of the top researcher and academics, but making them palatable really for people in the college or people in MBA colleges, right?
Right.
That is where it started. So, that's why you will see it is very research embedded kind of writing.
Okay, great. Sai, the development sector today is changing rapidly with the emergence of artificial intelligence and data-driven solutions. From predicting climate risks to improving last mile delivery of welfare schemes, AI seems to be reshaping how we approach social development. Given your experience as a development consultant, how do you see the role of AI evolving in the development sector? Do you think it would benefit young airmans to pursue specializations or short courses in AI or data analytics to stay relevant? And if yes, could you suggest any particular type of course or learning pathway that might help them bridge development practice with technology?
Okay. So I will answer this from two vantage points. One is from the vantage point of a development professional who is basically, say, trying to do capacity building, right? Because I've run skilling programs myself.
Mhm.
And for basically tier 3, tier 4 college students and getting them into customer service jobs or, remote selling jobs and things like that. Today, or coding jobs, right? Basic coding jobs. All these jobs are disappearing as we speak because of AI. So one is from a capacity building perspective, other is from a management professional perspective, how relevant a management professional will be, right?
Mhm.
And I don't have a very easy answer to this. So for the first question, from a capacity building perspective, I think we need more programs which are directly addressing AI, which is more on a solopreneur model vis-a-vis like a corporate job model, because companies are going to cut resources, especially in jobs which can easily be done by AI. So that's one. For a management professional, I think if you are experienced or if you are into entry level jobs, both is very different. If you're experienced, then AI is basically like a flavor to you, right? It's basically an embellishment to you as a domain expert. So you
Mhm.
can really do much more as a guy with domain expertise if you know AI, vis-a-vis a guy who doesn't have domain expertise, who has domain expertise but doesn't know AI. For an entry level guy, my advice would be to basically do courses or get hands-on on agentic AI, which is more on using as many applications on AI as possible. Because many of these applications, I've tried my hands on them as well, don't really need you to be a coder, right? They are user friendly and you can experiment them with them early on and see what products, models you can create with them. So that's my, I mean, of course, I'm not a AI expert from any point, from any point. but I'm just sharing my perspective based on my experience.
Great. So, you talked about portfolio careers. So, can you just explain it and how young students and young alumni exploring can explore hybrid or portfolio careers? What are the major trade-offs and payoffs, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, we are moving to portfolio careers is the sense I have, especially for the new generation. So it is, I would say, as early as you start, the better it is. One probably has to, even if you are in a management program, you've gone through a management program, you have to start thinking like a creator and not just a manager. So you will have tools at your hand which can really reduce the number of people you need to get the work done. So in that sense, really using them to try and experiment different models and see what other capabilities you have. So don't put yourself in buckets that I'm a professional, finance professional or a marketing professional. And I think this is where IRMA again stands because if I remember correctly, at that time, we were one of the few institutes which gave a general management program. While everybody was in the race to specialize in finance, marketing, supply chain, we were one of the few who were running a general management program.
Right.
Yeah. So become a general manager is what I would say.
Okay. Recently, you started Ex Veritum. So, can you just explain it a little for the benefit of all? And what gap are you trying to address? And how do you envision Ex Veritum evolving further?
So this actually has originated from my experience on the ground, especially in the development sector, I would say. So I'll give an example. So for example, so if we are working with the farmer community, right? And when you are running a development sector program, usually a program comes with a clear agenda. Somebody wants to give more loans. Some other program wants to improve agriculture productivity. Some other program wants to improve the gender dynamics, right? So you have expertise which is coming with a very, very focused and a narrow kind of an approach. And what happens is the problems on the ground are multifaceted or multidimensional, right? And that's why you need broad-based expertise to programming or
Right.
solving complex problems, wicked problems as we call in the development sector. So the idea is to basically bring different domains, people from different domains, bring that expertise together and do problem solving. Experitum is more like a community. It's not like really some business venture to profit out of, but how you can create a community with different domain knowledges to create new knowledge and try to solve problems through joint action. So that's basically the idea of Experitum.
Yeah, and right now it is presented on the LinkedIn platform, I think.
Yeah, so you have a LinkedIn webpage, Exveritum, but you
Yeah.
also have a website, exveritum.com,
Okay.
which one can go to access and see. There are different contributors who have already come on board,
We
and
can
we are just trying to build.
link maybe in the chat box.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So now I'm coming to the my last question. So if you could tell your younger self one thing from where you stand now, what would it be?
Yeah, so I mean, I would have, if it is one advice, then I would have said start creating early.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have loved to start writing when I was just out of campus, and probably had much more experience under me by now. And because I would say creating is much more fulfilling than managing. That's been my experience.
Mm-hmm. So here we are at the end of our interview. So Ritu, can we open it for question and answers from the audience?
Yes, please. So either they can speak up or they can type the questions. Either ways is okay.
Yeah.
While Amit has been asking you all about what you've done so far, Sai, how you're looking ahead.
Hi, Banner,
Hi.
and thanks for that. Looking ahead again, I think I am quite keen to look at a portfolio career, and especially from the point of broadening my networks, both in terms of the kind of work I take up, right? So I would definitely like to um, expand my work both in the development domain as well on the creative side. So even on the creative side, I am now hopeful to explore more formats, uh, different ways of storytelling. So hopefully you should see more on that in the next few years. On the consulting side, I'm trying to broad base my work from agri and finance only to bringing in the climate side, the ESG side. So bringing also that on my professional table. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Sairam. This is Nagendra. Uh,
Hi,
can
Nagendra.
you
Very
hear me
nice to.
now?
Yeah, yeah. Very
Okay,
nice to hear
okay.
from you. Mm.
I also used to, read a lot of fiction, and sometimes I used to believe that sometimes you get this feeling that it's a waste of, time because people, focus more on reading management books or self-help books or those kind of books. But then I came across one article in HBR where, it tells how reading fiction basically enhances your mental bandwidth and helps you deal with the real life situations, like it even questions related to morality, ethics, and all that. Basically you are able to form a very nuanced position. So based on what you have gone through, in terms of your career, your this creative space and all that, what advice, or I mean, as a parent, what do you think you could have done differently, or now you want to do differently? So many of your batchmates are now parents, or maybe your seniors, juniors. So what is it that you think? Because being a creative person, you might have come across many such thoughts, ideas, anything on that side.
Oh, sure. I think that's a question actually that forces me into thinking. But before that, just want to share with others that Nagendra and I have actually worked together very closely at GIZ. So there are a lot of fond memories of working together in development finance and a lot of good work in risk fund and all that. So we know each other probably from 2013 or around 2013. Uh, Coming to this question, actually, uh, storytelling, I think reading develops the brain in a very different way from viewing, and that is what the research is saying. Because you know, as a creator, what I've understood from the last few years of my dabbling into writing, which now is proven by research, is when you are reading a piece of fiction, it's your brain which is doing all the work of creating characters, imagining them, you know, creating all the situations in your mind. So though to your point on that HBR thing, which says that you are able to solve those questions of morality and challenges in your brain by reading fiction is absolutely true. Vis-a-vis when you are watching something on the screen, your brain is not really doing the work. It is just absorbing the scenes and the animations and the actions which is happening on the screen within yourself. So from a learning perspective, reading fiction is far more superior. But from teaching our kids, I think in today's kids, you really cannot force them to anything. One of the ways that could work is basically peer influence. So rather than you telling them what they need to do, is if their friend or a brother or a sister tells them that reading fiction is a good idea, probably they'll be more open to it. That's basically my 2 cents.
Right, right. Thanks.
Yeah. So, do we have any more questions from the audience?
Hi sir,
मीडियम पे
this side
पूछने
I'm
लायक
from
तो
PR.
कम ही है.
Yeah, yeah.
अच्छा,
Hi,
sorry, somebody's there. Yeah.
Devam Tripathi. Yeah, please go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Hi sir, this is Devam. I'm from PRM 43 batch.
Hi, Rohan.
Hi sir. Matlab, I had one question, but I think the it has already been addressed. That what are the current areas we're going to work on? But I just want to say that this has been a very informative talk, sir. Uh, because it is always a question, among us, ki if we choose a corporate ladder, can we switch to development anytime? Because I know many of my peers wanted to join development sector, but some of the other regions they didn't. Uh, but yeah, I think if they get to hear you, they'll know how can they make a switch. Yeah, but it's been a lovely talk and it's been a great to hear you, sir.
Thank you, Devam. And just on that point, actually, there are a lot of IRMANs who not only go from corporate to development, but they have gone from corporate to development, then gone back to corporate. So you have all kind of permutation combinations which happens with IRMANs, and
Yeah,
I
Irmans
think we
are
owe
yes.
that to the foundations of IRMA, which is very strongly laid with values as well as general management understanding and not being too specific.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
So, Devam, I think not most of your batchmates are here, so you can share the link of this talk to them, maybe in your.
Yeah, Amit sir. This will be posted on YouTube. And
Yeah, it will be on the
बाद-
YouTube.
yeah,
Yes, it will
उसके
be
बाद
posted
release
on the YouTube group and you can access this and all historical chats from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashwini has a question.
There is a question from Aswini. I'll read it out. So Aswini asks, how do you balance the precision of finance with the moral imagination of development when creating ideas or instruments that aim to serve both markets and society?
Okay. So, hi Ashwini. Ashwini is the fantastic placement committee
Yeah.
member from our batch, because of which all of us had a job, and today where we are. So we lot indebted to Ashwini, Pankaj. He was also here for some time, and others from the placement team. Um, Actually, this is a very interesting point, and uh, Joseph Stiglitz has in 2001 he won a Nobel Prize for looking at this problem from a particular point of view. So he actually figured out that many of these banks, uh, you know, are not, changing their interest rates because of the problem of information asymmetry. And it's about credit rationing and things like that. Nagendra and I also had debated and discussed this a lot while our GIZ days. So basically, what happens is the problem is not so much about precision, accuracy. I mean, we see all around us, right? You have some of the biggest companies who are getting subsidies, who are getting loans one after the other. But when it comes to smaller ticket size loans, you always have these questions about precisions, bad debts, and things like that, right? So, so he basically said that this is a matter of information asymmetry, because banking as a profession, banking as an industry, and bankers as a profession, bankers as professionals are really not placed close enough to all their borrowers. So while on the one hand, they regularly engage with, say, a large corporate, meeting them regularly, understanding them regularly, they understand what is the difference between intent. You always talk about this character versus capability and all this debate in lending, right? So when it comes to dealing with, say, a corporate, a banker is much more closer than to a borrower who is less included in the formal financial system. So it's some, I would say, not a matter so much of precision. The issue of precision is of course there, but it's a matter of information asymmetry. And how you solve that matter of information asymmetry, I think a lot of startups are now doing interesting work in psychometrics and building the credit bureau approach, and how more aspects to credit bureau could be brought in, what could be the other additional parameters. So we have to tweak the parameter of trust, how we bring that trust element more through data and through precision coming from data, I think we should work towards that. So that's like a very, very high level, because in the interest of time, I could just summarize it this very, very crudely, but this is a very interesting topic for discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Ashwini, for the question. So I think there are no more questions from the audience, or are there any? So
I think if we don't have any more questions, then we can actually close the session.
yeah, so we'll close the session with a thank you note to the Sairam. So Sai, this has been truly enriching. It reminds all of us, especially the young Irmans here, that careers are not always about sticking to a plan. Sometimes the most meaningful paths are the ones that unfold when you stay curious, open, and willing to learn. So thank you. Thanks again, Sairam, and all the audience here.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks to IRMA
Thanks
alumni community.
also for coordinating the event. Yeah.
To IRMA alumni community for giving us this platform to share more. To all friends, Banerjee, Vermaji, Nagendra, Pankaj, Rohit, Ashwini, few others who joined, Naveen, and few other GKM, he joined before. So I think CP Mohan sir also joined. So for everyone who joined, looking forward to continue interacting with all of you even after the talk. Thank you. Devam and all of you.
Thank you so much, Amit and Sai. It was great having you here. And Ritesh will be uploading the link to this chat tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.